We were beyond that.
Okay. Let's start
Okay.
with Radha.
Okay. Radha. After Meher Baba began his silence, other women were allowed to stay at Meherabad. Inside the post office, Gulmai, with her two daughters, Dolly and Piroja, Pilamai, Baba's spiritual sister from Karachi, Temina Bomanji from Bombay and her two children, and Kak Saheb's wife, Zorabai, with a young son. Zorabai was also pregnant at the time, and when the child was born, it was the first baby girl to be named after Mehera. Sidebar says 2 Christian girls whose names are not recalled, but who were young and hardworking, also lived with the women. About 15 women now stayed in the post office. They unrolled their mattresses at night and slept in double rows on the floor. In the mornings, the mattresses were rolled up and piled in a corner before starting their work. Big Khorshid was in charge of chapatis and oversaw their production. Pirosha was in charge of afternoon and morning tea. Everyone else contributed in one way or another to the general cooking, guided by Dalit Mai and Daulamasi. They cooked outside in the new temporary kitchen, but they continued to prepare tea in one corner of their room. They had a light breakfast of tea with chapati, no butter, but lunch was served around 11. By 11 o'clock, we were as hungry as hunters, Mehera recalled. We were just waiting for the dal and rice. For days and days, we had tur dal and rice for both lunch and dinner. But as long as we were with Baba, we didn't mind. Because the women were cooking for close to 100 people, the Mandali, the school children, the wayfarers staying in a dharamshala. There was much to be done. At night, they had to clean the spinach of grit so that it would be ready for cooking in the morning. 2 large containers of rice, the size of a kerosene tin, were cleaned and cooked daily, and 1 container of dal. So much food had to be cooked, and it was hot inside the kitchen under the tin roof with the smoke from the wood fires. But, quotes, we loved doing it because it was for Baba. Baba kept us all busy, end quote. In the evenings, despite Baba's silence, there was still bhajan singing. But Baba was mostly preoccupied with the school, and after starting his silence, he rarely visited the women. Baba's permission was necessary for anything and everything in the ashram, however. Quotes, nothing was to be done without his approval, said Mehera. We were to let him know everything. Baba himself instructed us to do certain things. So keeping silence, how difficult it was for Baba to manage all this. Although there was tata all around their compound and the women could not see out, they could hear Baba's loud clap and would know he was nearby calling someone. Quotes, there was much activity in those days in Meherabad. Mehera continued, with the school and so many persons living there. Baba started even more activity for the poor after keeping silence. Using his slate, Baba gave the women many additional orders to follow. After a few days, small Khorshid complained to him. Every day we are strictly adhering to what you have told us. You said if we followed your orders 100%, you would come to see us. but you hardly visit us. Baba promised to come more often, but he almost never entered their room. An old wooden tea crate was placed on the veranda on which he would sit. Here he had his meals, chatted with the women, and told them to massage his legs. Once he took the women outside their compound to show them the makeshift tata cabins with tin roofs where Rustam and Franny were living, and Sai Darbar, Sai's court, where Baba gave darshan to crowds. The Mandali had a large temporary room with a tin roof called Makan Ekas, House of the Chosen. And there were 10 schoolrooms as well. 3 days after beginning his silence, Baba had started writing his secret book, which he said would be the Bible of the future. At first, he worked in the Japti, but on 11 October, he moved into a small teakwood cabin, 8 by 5 by 3 feet high, constructed under a much larger teakwood table, according to his specifications. Because of its odd appearance, it was called the table cabin. It was placed under a neem tree by the road, where after a month, a duni, sacred fire, was lit in a small pit dug by Baba himself. The table had first been put near the post office veranda. The women had thus had a good look at it and knew what Baba was enduring in order to write there. Mehera said, Baba always put himself to much discomfort and inconvenience. For example, he wrote the book inside a table while on silence and fasting. Anyone else who was writing a book would want to do so in the fresh air, end quote. Mehera was still keeping all of Baba's things in the post office. Before beginning his work in the table room, Baba visited the women and instructed Mehera about what he would need for his fast. She was to boil milk and send it to him, but not to clean garlic or onions so that their smell would not get in the milk. She was also to make a chutney with half of a green chili pepper without seeds, stuffed with garlic, and a pinch of salt and then fried. Hot water for Baba to wash his face was also to be sent. The milk had to be boiled over a kerosene stove and not a wood fire, which would have given it a smoky flavor, and then strained. Nacha wanted to help, and Mehera allowed her to light the stove so that her hands would not smell of kerosene and taint the milk or the chutney. When everything was ready, they would cover the chutney and place it on a tray with a single cup of milk. Walu would take it to the gate of their compound, from where one of the men took it to Baba. Baba never wrote directly to Mehera, but he did send notes to her through others. One day, he sent a note saying to Mehera that his milk that day was not quite warm enough. Other instructions were also sent from the table cabin, and Baba sometimes inquired, is Mehera happy or is she depressed? After a certain phase of Baba's work was completed, he returned to the women's compound. Usually they were not in their room, but cooking in the temporary kitchen nearby. Gustaji, who had orders to speak only with Dalit Mai, would inform her that Baba was coming, so be ready. She would pass on the message, and everyone would drop whatever they were doing, wash their hands, and rush out into the compound. One day, Baba came in through the gate carrying a cricket bat and ball. Wickets were thrown inside by the mandali. Baba taught the women how to play cricket that day and told them to play every day at 4:30 p.m. for an hour. He instructed Zorabai to beat a tin box, which was a signal that they must assemble to play cricket. The women played in their cotton saris, but the games were spirited. They shouted at each other as they bowled, batted, and ran about enthusiastically. Mehera said, Baba loved the game very much and wanted us to learn also. The sidebar says one, quotes, ladies cricket match, end quotes, was played from 3 to 4 p.m. on 21st August, 1926. Baba was the umpire and Kaka Shahane, the only other male present, was the scorekeeper. Frainie's team won that day, with herself being the highest scorer of 26 runs. For 9 months after returning to Meherabad, January to October 1925, Baba did not shave. This was the only time Mehera ever saw Baba with a beard. Soft, dark hair grew on his chin, but not on his cheeks. One day, Baba called the women together on the post office veranda and wrote on his slate, "Can you guess who my Radha is?" Small Khorshid said, "Baba Jan." Someone else guessed, "Gulmai." Another answered, "Gustaji." But Baba wrote, "None of these." "Then tell us who it is," said Khorshid. Baba pointed to Mehera. He wrote on the slate, "She is my Radha." Baba wrote another name on the slate, Chandula, which was short for Chandrika, Radha's best friend. He told Small Khorshid, "And you are Radha's favorite Saki, best friend." Pointing to the others, he said, "You are all my gopis." Later, Baba asked Khorshid, "Will you be with Mehera and look after her always?" Khorshid promised, "Yes, Baba, I will do as you wish." Sometimes when Khorshid was seated, Baba would see her from behind and mistake her for Mehera. One day, he told her privately, quotes, "I love Mehera first, then you, then Naja, and then the others." Small Khorshid was an only child and the apple of her father, Kaikhushru Masa's eye. Her father doted on her and did not want to be separated from her. So he would write to Baba to send Khorshid back to Bombay for a few days. Khorshid did not want to go, of course, but Baba would tell her, quotes, "I am sending you, so it is the same as if you were staying with me," end quotes. Khorshid would leave always weeping, but when she returned after a month, she would bring colorful new cotton saris for the other women. Baba never said to wear white saris. Any color was all right. Baba liked colorful things. Once Khorshid brought Mehera an attractive peacock blue sari with a dainty rose print border, made of the best kind of fowlered cotton. Where should I wear it? Mehera thought. In the house, ashram. Khorshid also brought
I
Mary.
think you have to go now, Rosalie.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't seen you much at Artie's.
Yeah.
Anything going on?
Well, life is going on. Is what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
Life with Baba. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for reading.
Yeah. No, I'm happy. I love this. Yeah.
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 Well,
Jai Baba.
Jay Baba, thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming, Rosalie.
Jai Baba.
Jay Baba.
It's like a triumvirate.
A thruple. We're a thruple.
Did you want to pick up did you want to pick up Eugene, or should I?
Yeah, go ahead, Tina.
Okay. Khorshid also brought petrel, spinach, for Baba and a 14 ingredient chutney that her ayah would make. Baba liked it and would have it with his rice and dal. The women learned how to make it and would sometimes prepare it. Dowlat Mai also made new and different kinds of chutney for Baba. Baba would taste one and say, wow, wow, who made this chutney? Dowlat Mai said that she had, and Baba would use an idiomatic Gujarati expression, which meant you have hidden talents. I didn't know you could make this. Dowlat Mai was pleased by his appreciation. At one stage, when Khorshid was staying in Ahmednagar with her relatives, she often visited Meherabad. One evening, she did not wish to return to Khushru quarters, so she told Mehera, who said she could spend the night with them. When Baba found out, he was upset and told Khorshid to leave immediately. Crying, she began walking on the road. After she had gone a short distance, Baba came behind her and asked her how she would get home. Walking, Khorshid replied tearfully. You don't want me, so I'm going. Baba said, no, not like this. Wait. He held a tonga and sent her back in it. Mehera had some fond memories of Khorshid's father. Khushru Masih was a fine person with a quiet nature. He could read palms. Some things he would tell us, and some things he would only smile and not reveal. One day, when they first came to stay at Meherabad, Khushru Masih read one of the girls' palms. He read Mehera's also and told her, you will go on a voyage on the sea. Mehera laughed, but staying with Baba in the ashram, how could she ever make a sea journey? But Khushru's prediction came true. 11 years later, when the women traveled with Baba to France. Afterwards, the subject of reading palms came up. Mehera had her palm read when she was a child at the Royal Hotel, and Baba told her, Baba learned that Khushru Masih had recently done it. He told Mehera never to show her palm to anyone again. On September 30th, 1925, a second son, Falu, was born to Rustam and Frani. Rustam was now the superintendent of the school, as well as the co-manager of Bwas Sahib as well as co-manager with Bwas Sahib of the Meherabad property. Several temporary huts had been built near the railroad line. And Franey, Rustem, and Melu had been living in one of them. After Falu was born, they moved into the family quarters, a large house on the outskirts of Arangown, about 5 minutes walk from Meherabad. And they stayed there for some time, moving back to before moving back to Kushru quarters. Dowlat Mai, whose only son had died as an infant, would spoil her grandchildren, but Mehera had little connection with her immediate family since joining Baba. Mehera explained that all of her love for Baba, all of her love being for Baba, even though she felt love for her mother and she kept that separate. When her sister had children, she was unintentionally kept aloof and cool toward them so that she would stay uninvolved and not become attached to them. She saw Franey's children occasionally, but did not allow herself to develop a close rapport with them. You want to pick up, Eugene?
I love my mother, my sister, and her children, but I saw that I did not get mixed up in all that. I did not let myself fall into Maya. My sister's children were cute, but I put my mind more in Baba's work. Baba would see to their welfare. He would talk sweetly to Franey, tell her not to worry. If something happened to her children, Baba would say, "It won't die." He would take the child on his lap. Baba loved children very dearly. Baba is the only one whom I really loved. I shunned relations with Maya. I saw to it that I should not be attached to my sister, my mother, or my sister's children. I actively tried to keep myself apart, and I succeeded in that. Only Baba. We have love for Baba's lovers, so naturally when they love Baba, it makes me happy and we feel for them. But the other love for Baba is different. Franey, on the other hand, admitted that she used to fight with Baba over Mehera because Franey too wished to do things for him. Why is Mehera so, you gotta scroll down, scroll up, scroll down, I guess. Why is Mehera so special? Franey once demanded. Because Mehera does more for me than others, Baba replied. At other times, he also said that Mehera was the, quote, purest soul in the universe, end quote, and that her love for him was unique. According to Adi Sr., Franey's brother-in-law, Franey was jealous of Mehera. Franey wondered why Baba loved Mehera more than her, since she was so much cleverer. She was so much cleverer than her sister was, at least in school. But Mehera said that Baba did love Franey very much, and like Pilamai, would call her his spiritual sister. There were also difficulties in Franey and Rustam's marriage. They fought constantly when they lived at Kushru quarters. Khorshid confirmed this. Franey was very argumentative, and I kept asking Baba, "Why did you make me get married? I never wanted to marry." The fact was, I got to read that previous sentence again. Khorshid confirmed this. Franey was very argumentative and kept asking Baba, "Why did you make me get married? I never wanted to marry." The fact was, she was jealous of her younger sister. Mehera got along with her, but when she saw that Franey was jealous of her, she stopped having much to do with her. Franny was very loving toward Khorshid, though, as Khorshid helped take care of Franny's children. Gee, I wonder if that was part of it with Mehera, too, that Mehera didn't take care of Franny's children. But Franny was perhaps closer to Nadja than to any of the others. She could speak frankly and openly with Nadja about the outside world, as Baba was not as strict with Nadja over this. At the beginning, Nadja too questioned Mehera's status. Once, when very tired from all the work she had to do in the ashram, Nadja thought, Mehera's not given much work. Why does Baba make me work so hard? Although Nadja did not voice her thoughts, Baba one day called his cousin and told her the story of Mary and Martha of Bethany in the New Testament, who both loved Jesus dearly. Martha did not have the opportunity to be with Jesus as much as she wanted because she was so busy cooking all day. But Jesus explained that Mary was serving Jesus more by sitting at his feet than Martha was by cooking. Each, however, had the opportunity for service. Baba then indicated that Nadja was like Martha and said, continue doing your duty with love and don't think about what others are doing. According to Franny, at times Baba scolded Mehera for something, like not bringing things on time, and Mehera would weep. Mehera would also expect more attention from Baba than the others received. And if Baba forgot to lavish it on her, this too would be reason for tears. Once Baba gathered the women and said, you are all jealous of Mehera. Only Khorshid is not. Khorshid affirmed that she never felt jealous of Mehera. Baba would not let even his mother criticize Mehera. Shireen Mai stayed at the post office many times where she often found an excuse to be upset with one of the women. Perhaps the food was not ready when she felt hungry, for instance. Although Shireen Mai loved her niece Nadja very much, it was usually Nadja or Shireen Mai's daughter-in-law, Big Khorshid, who was the object of her irritation.
Mm.
I think the ladies all have a pecking order too, right? The senior ladies are the head peckers.
Yeah.
One day she complained. One day she complained about them to Baba. You can be upset with them, Baba told her. You can criticize. You can find fault with anyone and everyone in the ashram, but not with Mehera. Don't ever say a word against Mehera, and don't ever make her unhappy either. Mehera was not present, but was told what Baba had said by one of the others. She was touched by Baba's words. It was very sweet of Baba to say that. Whenever Shireen Mai came to Meherabad, Mehera would bring her a cup of tea, which pleased her no end. See, she would tell the other girls, Mehera loves me more than you do. I did used to love her, Mehera said. Once she would muse over Shireen Mai's love for Baba, how she had given her firstborn Jamshed away and loved Baba as a baby. Quote, beautiful and cuddly, all curly, curly brown hair. Mehera too wished she could have held Merwan as a baby. And the asterisk note says, regarding Baba's given name, Mehera stated, I never called him Merwanji. I always said Baba. I would have liked to call him Merwan, but I never asked Baba if I could. Just once, call him Merwan. Now I regret that I never got the chance to call Baba by his given name.
Mhm.
So Mehera too wished she could have held Merwan as a baby. Shireen Mai must have played with him, kissed him. How much she must have loved Baba as an infant. Well, it's 3 o'clock now, so time to quit.
It is?
Yep.
I have 2:55.
Oh, okay. Do another paragraph. Did
Yeah.
you read already? Oh, yeah, you read. Okay. Shireen Mai was a very witty person, Mehera continued. We took great pains to please her whenever she came, but sometimes she had moods. You are all happy with Baba, she used to say. Baba this and Baba that. But Baba is mine. I am his mother. You all have stolen him from me. Sometimes she was joking, but at other times she was serious. She would scold us girls. You all are happy here with Merog, while I am alone in Pune without my son. It is all your fault. You have taken my son away from me. She would talk like this, wishing to blame someone for Baba's absence. Meanwhile, Baba's what, like 30 years old now? Get over it, Shireen Mai. In the beginning, when her other sons were staying with Baba, she used to feel that she was at home, alone in the house.
Maybe we could stop there.
Perfect.
That's 181. I'll make a note of it.
Okay, well, see you, love. Thanks for coming. Thanks for
Thank you.
scrolling. See ya.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yep.